Hi everyone, so we are going to go over common errors that are encountered with the two-handed knot tie, and the hope is that if you are having trouble learning this surgical skill, that we can use these videos to A, identify what exactly you are doing wrong, and B, provide you with the proper instructions so that you can correct these errors. And we will be going over 5 of the most common errors that people have with knot tying, and they're listed here. And if you are specifically looking for a certain topic to get help with, we will have timestamps below so that you can skip to those areas of the video. The first error that we're going to discuss is incorrect hand placement. And when you first take your cord, you want to make sure that the ends are facing towards you, like the reins of a horse. You do not want to have them pointed away from you because then your knots will not tie down properly. Once you have the cord wrapped around whatever you're going to tie it to, you want to pay attention to where your hands are along the length of the cord. You do not want them too high up or too close to where you will be tying the knot because your hands and fingers will not have enough space or mobility to properly perform the throws. On the flip side, you do not want your hands to be too far down the cord because then you will not have adequate tension as you tie down your knots. With the cords that are provided, you probably want your hands to be halfway along the length of the white and red segments as you are tying down your knots. With real suture or in the clinical setting, you will likely need around 5 centimeters or so between where your hands are and where the knots will be so that you can have both enough mobility while tying the knots but also proper amount of tension. The second error that we're going to discuss is using the wrong fingers for the throw, which includes wrapping your fingers incorrectly around the cord. So whenever you are doing a two-handed tie, you will only ever use your thumb or index finger to wrap around the cord. And as you'll notice here, your middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger are all still and they're being used to hold down adequate tension on the cord. And when you're doing your throws, after you cross over the cord so that they make the X, you'll know you're wrapping them properly when you see this nice open loop here. And we'll demonstrate what happens when you wrap the cord around incorrectly. So when you make the X, you'll see that instead of the nice open loop that was there previously, there's more of a figure of 8 sign and a crossing of a cord where the loop should be. So we'll do this with the index finger. Here we are correctly making the X, and then we'll see that nice open space. And if we were to have wrapped it incorrectly, whenever we make the X, you'll see that crossing of the cord or figure of 8 instead. We'll demonstrate this again using the opposite hand. So wrapping around your thumb and making the X, you'll have that nice open space. Whereas if you were to wrap incorrectly, after you make the X, you're going to have that crossing or that figure of 8. And then again with the index finger, if you were to cross correctly after making the X, you'll have the nice open space. But if you were to wrap the index finger incorrectly after you make the X, you'll have that figure of 8 sign instead. The next error that we're going to discuss is not crossing our hands properly. So you can see here that we're starting with our first throw around our thumb, making the X, and then pushing the cord through the loop. And here we are incorrectly not crossing our hands. And by not crossing our hands, you can see that the throw does not really sit flat and instead has the tendency to want to undo itself and come back up. So we're correcting it by crossing our hands, and you'll see that after we cross, things tend to lay down much more nicely, more flat, and be more secure. And so we'll follow that with our second throw around the index finger, make the X, and tie down. And here we do not cross our hands because things lay down nice and flat that way. You can see that if we had crossed, that there would be less of a flat throw, and then it would have the tendency again to undo itself. And here we have a nice square knot, so we'll go through the motions again, where we cross with the first throw. And then with the second throw, we do not cross so that everything continues to lay down flat and we make those nice secure square knots. The next error that we're going to go over is having throws that are not alternating. So here we're going to start our throw by wrapping around our thumb and then bringing the cord through the loop and then crossing our hands. And we're going to incorrectly repeat the same motion where we wrap around our thumb, bring the cord through the loop, and then cross our hands again. And what you'll see is that we have made a slip knot instead of our usual square knot. And with enough force and tension up against that slip knot, you will see that the knot actually slides down the cord or suture material and is something that is not secure. So we are going to correct this by undoing the last throw of the slip knot, and instead we're going to do an alternating throw where we wrap around our index finger, bring the cord through the loop, and tie down without crossing our hands. And this makes a square knot, which, as you can see, if you provide any tension against that knot, it will not move. And of note, you do not always have to start your throws where you wrap the cord around your thumb. You can do the throw where you wrap around your index finger. It does not matter. The thing that does matter is that your throws alternate, because that ensures that your knots are square. The last error that we're going to go over is making air knots, which are caused by inadequate tension. So here we're doing our first throw where we wrap around the thumb and then bring the cord through the loop. And the error is right here where we don't provide enough tension to where we pull the throw all the way down. And unfortunately, if you do your next throw where you wrap around the index finger and bring the cord through the loop, you're making a square knot. And that basically locks your knot in place to where no matter how hard you pull, your knot will not slide down and you'll be left with this gap, which results in the air knot. The way to fix this is that from the beginning with your first throw, you want to make sure that it sits all the way down right where you want it.